Okay, good evening, everyone. We're still just waiting for several more people. Perfect. Okay, I'm just checking on the WhatsApp group as well. We've got about 22 people that wanted to join. So we're just waiting for them as well. See, we're at 12 now, so we're still a ways to go. Okay. Okay. Bradley, I see that you've also joined us. Would you mind just switching on your camera? I just want to test whether the cameras are working, if that's possible.
Okay, yeah.
Is it working?
Perfect.
Ah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. You guys are welcome to switch your cameras on if you want to. Hi, Margot. We can see you as well. Okay, perfect.
As jy nog meer mense wil sien, kan jy na view toe gaan.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to start. Those who are late will just have to catch up and follow along as we go. Just to quickly let you know, we are recording this session just to get some nice information together and for our internal usage as well. Okay. Good evening from my side. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you. We are so excited to be hosting this. This is our information session, our online Q&A session for our brand new specialization, Trauma, a Body-Based Approach. I'm super excited about this Q&A session because this is an opportunity for us to have some good conversations. I'm looking forward to the conversation with Dr. Barbara, especially where we will be sharing additional information of the trauma course, but also in so doing, getting all your questions answered. Thank you very much for all the questions that have been sent in. It's quite a bit. We've got quite a few questions that we need to work through, but I'm sure that the time will allow us to be able to do so. So lovely to see so many familiar faces that I can see, those that I can see, and then the familiar names that keep on popping up. Those who we have had the journey of, the privilege of journeying with in the past. It's nice to see you guys again. And for those of you who don't know us, who maybe scrolled past a link on social media or who have been sent this link as an invitation, a very warm welcome, especially to you. At Humanitas, we offer training to social workers and psychology graduates, and our big aim is to bridge that gap between theory and practice. And this is especially one of the big reasons why I'm so excited about this trauma course as well. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Andri van den Berg, and I'm the owner of Humanitas, a training center, and then the Vita Nova Counseling Center in Elardus Park. And it really is a privilege to be able to work with these lovely people that you can see on your screen in developing this amazing course. I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait for it to just kick off. Okay, just to give you some information quickly on how tonight is going to go, just so that you know what to expect. I'm going to introduce you to all of my colleagues who have been working very diligently on this course. They're going to get an opportunity to just introduce themselves and to share a little bit about their role in the specialization. Then we're going to share some additional information with you regarding the course, and in so doing, working through all of your questions. So at the end of this session, I am very confident that all of the questions that we have received will have been answered. If not, you're welcome to just pop your question in the comments. And at the end of the session, if there is time left, we will definitely then spend some time in answering additional questions that have come up. So introductions, in no specific particular order. I am going to start with who I see on my screen first, and that is Karen. Karen, so if you would like to unmute yourself and just give us some information on who you are and what your role is.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Karen Hennessy. I'm a social worker in private practice. I'm also one of the lecturers at Humanitas Training Center as well. I'm currently presenting the Introduction to Trauma course as part of the counseling course as well. So very excited to be here. My role in the specific trauma course will be to discuss the legal aspects when working with victims of domestic violence or with abuse, as well as some of the practical ways that we can work with survivors of childhood sexual abuse rather. So that will be my role, and I'm very excited to be here. Thanks, Henri.
Thank you so much, Karen. Dr. Peter, you are next. Oh, just unmute, Peter. Sorry. There we go.
I never mute myself, and now I do that, and then I forget. Okay, there we go. So my name is Peter Schulz, and like Karen, also I'm a social worker. Have been practicing for quite some years, and specifically worked in the field of addiction, also family work and couples counseling. And my role in this course is to look at the family, specifically children growing up in an alcoholic home, and by implication, actually a dysfunctional family, and looking at the growing up as part of processed trauma, in that children learn survival modes in order to cope with their circumstances, which are functional at the time but become destructive in the long run, and how trauma feeds into the behaviors, and also having to then address these behaviors when it becomes destructive in their relationship, specifically going forward on the long run. So I'm as inquisitive, I think, as everybody else is in terms of Barbara's involvement and the course as such, which I would like to follow. Obviously, we can learn a lot from you, Barbara, but my role then specifically would be looking at how the children growing up in a dysfunctional home, how that impacts in their lives as adults, and how trauma relates to that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Louise.
Hi, I'm Louise Okamp, also a social worker, has been one for, I think it's now more likely 27 to 28 years. I've been saying 25 for way too long, and have been involved mainly working with children and families, both in assessment and therapy, and then also have been involved with training for many years. I'm also one of the presenters on the PBI training of Humanitas. And in this course specifically, I will be involved in teaching a little bit around the dynamics of sexual abuse and how those dynamics contributes to trauma. And then also, I'm the ethics guy. I have a passion and a love for ethics and making sure that working with any client that you guys will be equipped to adhere to ethical guidelines and to make sure that your ethical practice will be top notch.
Perfect. Good. Thank you, Dr. Louise. Anshul.
Hello, I hope you can hear me. I'm going to turn my camera off for the rest of the session because I'm home and we might have 2 young visitors also joining us. But yeah, I'm Anshul. If you've been through the Humanitas course, you might have seen me somewhere. I am also a lecturer for Humanitas. I'm doing the supervision. I'm part of the PBI. And as I said to Andrew and Dion, I'm also part of the furniture at Humanitas Vitanova. I'm super excited about the trauma course. the part that I play, or the role that I play, is actually, I think, the smallest one. The fun modules, the self-care. If we work with trauma, and especially trauma within the somatic field, we also need to look after ourselves. So self-care is one of the modules that I'll be responsible for. And then along with Dr. Peter, how loss and grief also creeps in when we work with trauma. So that's where you'll see me in this course. Thank you.
Thanks, Anshul. Judy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Judy Dos Santos. I'm a social worker in private practice as well. I've been working in different fields, substance abuse for many years, employee wellness, trauma field, play therapy, mental well-being, mental health. So I've had the privilege of training with Barbara in the past, and she's taught me so much about polyvagal theory and the community resilience models. So I'll be an assistant during the in-person practical models, where my responsibility will be to help ensure that you are learning what you need to learn, practically speaking, and also to hold space for you, should you become overwhelmed or triggered by what we do in the classes. I will also lead some experiential classes, for example, grounding and tracking techniques. And I hope to see all of you there and look forward to taking part in this wonderful project. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Okay, and then last but definitely not least, Dr. Barbara, would you like to introduce yourself and give us some information on your background and who you are? Just unmute.
Not yet, you're muted, Barbara.
I'm gonna...
Now?
There we go. Perfect.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm Barbara Wade. I'm also a social worker in private practice the last 25 years. And I developed a passion for trauma during the course of my doctorate. Started reading up all about the bodywork, and nobody really knew what to do. And so I then had the privilege of doing the somatic experiencing course, was an assistant there, met Elaine, did the Trauma Resiliency Model, and eventually went to Paris and worked with Deb Dana, did the polyvagal theory with the idea of bringing it back to South Africa with Steve Porter's blessing and also Deb's blessing, simply because for us to do these overseas courses is horrendously expensive. And so I'm in a position where it's a passion, there's no human being who hasn't experienced trauma. But it's really important to me that people are left with skills that are effective and where we know what to do and how to support people who have been through various traumas. So I'm terribly excited about this project. I was thrilled when Leon and Henri contacted me. I've known Judy and Karen and Louise for a long time. So I really am very, very thrilled that there's an interest in this project. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, 100%. I think the interest is one thing. If I can share from my side just what makes me really excited about this course. Those of you who've completed the Humanitas Counseling course, you'll know that Karen presents the trauma module. And it's a 2-day module that is very theory-laden. It's a lot of information that we share. So you who have done it would know that you know about polyvagal, you know about the nervous system, you know about holding space, you know you can counsel through a trauma-informed lens. You've got that information, you've got the knowledge. But the question that kept on popping up is, when are you doing additional trauma stuff? When can we learn a little bit more about trauma? Because if you think about what you can fit into 2 days, it's not nearly enough to be able to really work effectively with trauma. Yes, we're trauma informed. We can educate, we can psychoeducate. We've got that compassion because we've got the understanding. But really effectively working with trauma is something different. We can counsel, but working with trauma really is something different. So that question kept on popping up and surfacing and resurfacing and resurfacing. And where things really came to life for me was when I actually watched a video that Barbara shared in explaining exactly what the work is that she does. With her client's consent, she shared with me a video that she recorded of a session, and it absolutely blew my mind. And I think those of you who are lifelong learners, you'll know that the more you know how little you know, if that makes sense. The more you learn, the more information you get, the more knowledge you acquire, the more you realize, oh goodness, but actually there's so much that I don't know about a specific field, and things that I thought were true are not necessarily true. And it really was an enlightening aha moment for me when I saw the actual session and saw how Barbara approached it and the stuff that she did and how she held space and the physical work that actually went into this trauma session, and then witnessing the results at the end of the session. If you were to take a snapshot of that image of the client in the beginning of the session and then saw that exact same client at the end of that session, just the physical differences in appearance that I could see and pick up was just tremendous. And it had such an impact on me that I thought, no, this is something that we really have to bring this along, and we have to bring this into the Humanitas family of specializations. I think this brings me to my first question, Dr. Barbara, and it's a question that didn't necessarily come from the people who are interested, but I would like you to just explain to us, why is it so important to work with the body in trauma counseling?
Okay. So if you think of a situation where perhaps there's an attack or a robbery or a car accident, things happen very fast and the body is geared to protect itself. So the whole nervous system is activated and charged to do something to defend itself. If we're able to complete that defensive response, say you're crossing a road and a car's coming, you might run and get away and you think, phew, that was close, but I got away. So you don't go back to it. But when something happens, like a crash, and you can't actually use that charge, it remains stored in the body as what we call an implicit memory. So an implicit memory is not conscious. It's how the body wanted to act, how the body wanted to move. And that response will stay in the body, but it's not connected with the story. So Bessel van der Kolk did a lot of very interesting research where he showed that when you start working with trauma and you talk to people about trauma, the part of the brain that deals with the story or the narrative is actually bypassed when there is extreme trauma. So what they've found is that working through a verbal processing model actually can re-traumatize the client because it provokes this implicit body memory, but there's no way of releasing and discharging it. So the body-based approaches are working from the implicit memory and helping to integrate that. What they found as well is that working with a body-based implicit memory can change that memory into a narrative explicit memory, where you can remember without re-experiencing or reliving the trauma. But it does not work the opposite way around. So if you try and work from a verbal approach, you can trigger the re-experiencing and the implicit memory and re-traumatize the client. So you get this, what you're talking about. You can see in the nervous system, in the face, in the body as a whole, there's this profound shift as the body is able to discharge this charge within the body. So that will answer, I hope, why we work with the body, because until that basis or that nervous system has regulated again, the trauma is going to provoke and re-trigger every time there's anything associated. So a lot of the body-based approaches kind of stop there. But where this course is different and why we have such a fantastic team is that once we've worked with the body and we have stability in the nervous system, you still have distorted cognitions. Maybe somebody died. You still have profound emotions of grief. You have these emotions and cognitions that also need to be dealt with. And so it's very important that this becomes integrated with everything else you know. But we can't start with the verbal memory because the verbal processing is going to re-trigger the physiological response to the trauma. Once we've settled the physiological response, then we can really access the cognitions, the emotions, which are just as much a part of trauma. So that's why we're coming at this from quite a different angle and doing a lot more than just body work. That's why we've got all the other aspects of dealing with trauma. Can't hear, Andre?
Oh, sorry. Thanks for that, Barbara. And if you say working with the body, what does working with the body actually mean?
So the way that we approach trauma is our first step is always to establish safety. So your body is constantly scanning and sensing whether you're safe or not. So you can know you're safe, but not feel safe. So it's a case of really helping the client to start to experience cues or signals of safety. Once we've done that, we can start to track or notice sensations because the survival brain always elicits responses in the body. So it's language is sensation. So once we can start to notice sensation, it's a clue to what's happening in the survival brain and what the body couldn't do. So we then help the client to understand or to track those sensations. And from there, we can start to notice where is the constriction or the stuckness in the nervous system and in the body itself. Once we are aware of that, we can see what the body needed to do but couldn't do at the time. So, for example, you might find a person gets a lot of tightness in the throat. That's frequently associated with something the person wanted to say or verbalize but couldn't. You get this blockage. You often get people with asthma. When you're driving along and a car's coming, you don't take a nice deep breath. So very often there's a constriction in the internal organs, in the viscera. You often get somatic physical symptoms like IBS. You notice patterns of muscle tension, all those kind of things. So we start to track what's happening and allow the body to move in the way it wanted to move, or perhaps it starts shaking and tingling to release that trauma.
Good, thank you. And that brings me to a question that did come in. You're talking about shaking and trembling. How is this course different? Let me just read it that they are specifically. How is this course different from TRE?
So TRE is a series of exercises that will trigger the kind of release of muscle patterns of tension in the body. I think the difference is that when you're working with the Trauma Resiliency Model, whatever the body is doing is emerging from that client's experience. So you're integrating what happened, the context, and the implicit memory in the body. TRE is great, for example, for pain, for tension, for stress, but the shaking and the release is not necessarily tied to what is emerging from the fact that I had a smash and grab. And so often it's not dealing with what we call a memory capsule. So if you're driving in your car and there's a pink house, a yellow motorbike, a kitten, and we crash, those are all sensory experiences. Your brain will associate them with the crash and how you feel. Later on, you're driving along, you see a kitten. The kitten had nothing to do with the crash, but it's overcoupled, it's associated, and your body reacts as though you're going to crash. Whereas if you're working with the body as a doorway, or the story as a doorway into the body, and you then work with the implicit memory, it's emerging from that particular event. And so in that way, the shaking or the tingling is different.
Mm.
Having said that, we've also included polyvagal. There's a good reason for that. That you often have people with what Dr. Peter's talking about, process trauma, very complex trauma. You can't, the client is not going to be able to go through each and every incident. That focuses much more on noticing the body, noticing when you bumped out of that zone of well-being, and using polyvagal principles to come back into a zone of well-being and regulating the nervous system that way. So the one is focused more on particular situations and incidents. The other one's focused more on regulating the nervous system as a whole.
Okay, good.
And I think both are important.
100%. And I think it's just important to mention to those people who have done the counseling course, yes, you've got polyvagal information, but our polyvagal module, I think, is about 5 days long, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this is not understanding polyvagal on a theoretical level. This is working with polyvagal. So it's again that practical application of what do I do with the theory that I do have.
So what happened there is that Stephen Porges developed the theory. Deb Dana developed the therapy. I spent 3 weeks, which is a long time, in training with Deb Dana in Paris. And what Deb Dana was showing us is what are the actual exercises, techniques that you can use in therapy for yourself and for the client to regulate the nervous system. And Judy and I had a very long discussion, Judy, about the sequence of the modules. And we put polyvagal at the beginning. What is the safety net for the participant in the course? Because if you learn the polyvagal theory, how to use these cues of safety, how to stay in your resilient zone, it helps you deal with trauma without becoming re-traumatized. So you can recognize what branch of your nervous system is most active, and you can start to regulate your own nervous system. So that's a 5-day training. And it's practical. It's what you do with your clients, but also what you do with yourself.
Good, so. Perfect, thanks. Follow-up question that is similar to the one, how does it relate to TRE? How does this course compare to the intro and beginner level of somatic experiencing course? Does it cover any elements from the intermediate or advanced levels? So the somatic experience course, how does that relate?
All right, so there are a number of models that are in the same family. So what Pat Ogden does with sensory motor psychotherapy, what Peter Levine's done with somatic experiencing, what Elaine has done with the Trauma Resiliency Model, what A.B. Backersley does with somatic psychology. They're all the same family, but they are all distinct models. So each one has got a nuance of their own. So somatic experiencing is run by the Somatic Experiencing Institute. It's Peter Levine's work. It's his copyright. Baselli, who did the TRE, did the first level of somatic experiencing. Elaine has come from the same philosophy, but I have experienced her trauma resiliency model as a lot more concrete. So it's a lot easier to convey, to teach. She's less elitist. She's gone to 70 countries. She goes to areas of natural disaster. She's trained the natural leaders. She's geared her work to third world countries, and she's made it available to us. And she's had a huge impact. She's copyrighted her own model, and there are things that she does that are unique to her model. So she has the Trauma Resource Institute. It's a separate institute to Somatic Experiencing International. There's an overlap. There's an overlap also with Pat Ogden, but they're not the same. So it's very similar. A lot of the principles are the same. I mean, she will acknowledge pendulation or titration or these techniques. They're in all three. It's not unique, but she has her own slant on things as well.
Yeah,
So it covers aspects of somatic experience, a lot of it, very similar, but there's a lot that's unique as well.
Barbara, you're talking about Elaine and the Trauma Research Institute. Will you tell us a little bit more about CRIM and TRIM? Because the question that did come up is, I read on your website about TRM and CRM, and what is this and what is this about and how does that fit into this specific course? Will you just give a little bit of background on that? I know that you spoke about Elaine now, but just for a more comprehensive
So
understanding.
Elaine Miller-Karas is a somatic experiencing practitioner, and she's a very much a community-minded social worker. And so she started to go to areas where there was a tsunami or an earthquake or a flood and realized there aren't mental health professionals. So she developed a model of 6 wellness skills that she called the Community Resiliency Model. And what was happening there is that she was training your natural community leaders with wellness skills so that they could support people in the community with these wellness skills. Very similar to polyvagal, helping a person to become resilient, helping a person to recover from trauma with a lot of support. All wellness skills, which are critical. You can't work with trauma without a sense of safety. Then she developed a second model that goes beyond that wellness skill to how do you actually renegotiate or reprocess the trauma? How do you allow the body to complete that defensive response that it couldn't do at the time? And that is what we call the Trauma Resiliency Model. So that is an additional 4 skills that adds on to the 6. She then has the Trauma Resource Institute, which is her training organization. She's in 70 countries around the globe, a lot of work in Africa, currently busy with the war in Congo, worked with the war in Ukraine, but actually supports communities who are in a crisis. So that if you or I came across floods in Natal again or the fires in the Western Cape, you're equipped to go to a community and offer support and train people there in the wellness skills. So the wellness skills are quite easy to get anywhere, but this actual step of renegotiating the trauma, that is copyright by those 3 organizations. You can't just learn it and you can't just teach it. You have to be accredited to teach.
Yeah. And she's been
because they're very
very
specific models.
Yeah. What a lovely person. She
Very
we had
nice.
such a fantastic meeting with her, and she was so open to sharing the knowledge and allowing us to use it and giving us absolute freedom in applying this and bringing this into our course. So we're very humbled and appreciative of that as well.
But
Yeah.
she's very, very well recognized and has had a huge impact worldwide, really
Yeah.
has had a big impact
100%.
worldwide.
Okay,
So this institution is separate from the Somatic Experiencing Institute, because one of the questions I saw is, if you do this, is it first level somatic experiencing? No, they're completely separate institutes with their own model and their own copyright.
Mm.
So one won't transfer to the other, even though there's an overlap.
Okay, perfect. And then somebody asked, if I already have some trauma training, will this course still be valuable? I think for myself, that's self-explanatory, but I think it's important to just answer that in some more detail as well. I already have some trauma training. How will this course benefit me? This is from my side, just to quickly add to this question, or to answer this question from my side as well. I think the big thing here is the difference between this course and many other courses, and I'm not saying all other courses, many other courses, is the practical application and the practical training, the physically being in the room and working with the specific situations that people are going to bring in. It's the application of the theory. So many other courses are offered purely online. One of the questions was also, can I attend online, or does it have to be in person? It has to be in person. The in-person modules has to be in person, because it's that learning of the skill, witnessing the skill, observing the skill, and actually being in the room while Barbara does it. Another thing that I think really makes this course different is the fact that Barbara has, I don't know how many clients at this point in time and how many videos who've given permission to be recorded in their sessions. So you will see how Barbara does it with an actual client sitting in front of you and talk through the actual sessions. It's life-changing stuff to see, really. It's amazing stuff to be a witness to. And what an honor to be able to journey with people, even vicariously, just through their healing journey, and observing that. It's a very special gift that her clients have also allowed us to be a part of. So we have to go about that also with a lot of respect and a lot of gratitude that they were willing to share that. So it's the in-person things. This is a 12-month course. It's part-time. It's spread out evenly so that it's not a lot of information jammed into your head and now, okay, there you go and you're off and you have to go and do this. We really want to pace it in such a way that you don't just hear the information, but that it infiltrates your being, if you will, that you learn how to do it, that you practice it in. You'll also see that there's a lot of contact sessions on the website. The information is there. Every module has a contact session as well. The contact session is not a supervision session in and of itself. Many of the contact sessions are going to be sessions where you actually practice the skills again, continuously throughout the entire course. So by the time that you finish, we want to be able to truly and confidently say that you can counsel confidently and competently in the field of trauma, working with trauma specifically. Dr. Barbara, is there something that you want to add to this question? If I've already done some trauma training, will this be valuable?
I think Judy can add as well, because she's done the training with me.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what type of trauma training. So, as I said, there are many models, but I can tell you that this is the first time that this is being done in South Africa. No. First of all, because I'm the only one who's allowed to teach the polyvagal from Deb, and I'm the only one who's allowed to teach Elaine's work. So it depends on what type of trauma training and whether you've worked with the body or not. It's not trauma debriefing. It's very different. It's not TIR. It's very different. You can go on to NICAM online. It's all theory. We're not doing that. You're doing a lot of experiential learning. You're watching a minimum, I can tell you now, a minimum of 10 client sessions. One lady did the 7th session and recorded it with her today. I think we'll probably do 10 with her. So you'll see the whole process, and there are other clients as well. So you don't get that. In most trauma trainings, people will not sit in front of a group and present their work. And unless you work with the body, it's not theory. It's actually how do you do it. And we've spaced it out so that you've got time to integrate, it's different. It's not what we're used to. You're integrating this with all your other training. You're integrating it with what Dr. Peter's doing and what Karen's doing and Louise. Judy, have you got something to add? How is it different to other trauma training?
Yeah, you're putting me in the spot, Barbara, but it's okay.
Don't mean to, Judy.
I think Audrey asked me the question the other day. I had to give her information about all the training I've done in trauma. And I don't know, Audrey, can you remember, like, there was like about 100 trainings that I did in trauma.
Very long list.
And yeah, and then when I started Barbara's training, people, it just struck me. I was awestruck by the techniques and how helpful they were. And since I started applying it to my clients, it's like a whole new world has opened in terms of helping people and having successful therapy sessions with clients. So I can tell you, if you've done trauma courses before, this is the best trauma course that you'll ever do in your life.
Thank you, Judy.
That brings me to a next question that came up. If we work with such difficult situations and witness such intense counseling sessions as well, Dr. Barbara, in the course itself, the question is the course emotionally intense? And how do you support students through that? I'm really worried about being triggered, which is, I think, a very valid question.
Very, very good question. Very important question. So, as I was saying, Judy and I had quite a long discussion about this, and our starting point was certainly that we needed to start with making sure that the student can regulate their own nervous system. It is emotionally intense work. I don't believe you can help people if you don't have empathy, because so much of your healing is in the resonance between you and the other person. So I think it's very important that you yourself are able to keep your own nervous system in a regulated state. And I think that if you can see that the person is improving, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to do the work than to watch it. I think it's important that you experience this regulation skills in a class. So that's why I think it's important it is in person, that you can feel it in yourself. Yeah. You also mentioned, Henri, that you offer support for people who may be overwhelmed. Could you perhaps say a bit more about that? Yeah. We will be doing the contact sessions.
Yeah. We do have campus counselors who will also hold space for you. Obviously, they have not been trained in this specific way. But if you just need to talk to somebody or to just unpack a little bit, our campus counselors are also there. So you will have support throughout. We don't expect of you to just jump in and swim. We know that this is tough work, and it's difficult work. And if our responsibility is primarily towards you as well, because if you guys are okay, if you guys can work with this, then we know that the impact that you guys can have going out into the world is huge. So yeah, we definitely from our side will also offer that support and make it available.
Yeah, we can refer people to practitioners who are trained.
Yeah.
Or, see people. Obviously, that's a cost to them, but yeah.
Okay, good. Some more questions that came up. I think this is course content-wise. I think we covered the majority of it. Another question that came up were, are there assessments involved or any assignments involved? Yes. The course has assessments and assignments. We definitely do not want to just give you the information and see what you do with it. We want to make sure that you can do this well and that you can do this correctly. So that's an ethical requirement from our side as well, to make sure that what you do is on standard and up to the standard that we require of it to be. So there are quite a few assessments and assignments, one of which is going to be you're going to have to record a video session, get permission from a client. We're going to review the video, make sure that you get feedback on that as well. Every module has its own assignments as well that are going to be connected to that. And then there's one research assignment that you have about 3 months to complete, closer to the end of your training course as well. So yes, it's definitely not something that's just a quick and easy go through. There are assignments involved as well. Will there be opportunities for feedback on my work or progress during the course? Yes, definitely. How can you improve if we don't give you feedback? And how can you learn and how can you grow if there's no feedback? So most definitely. Is it possible to attend only online? We've addressed that one. Will we have access to supervision while we work with the trauma? Yes, you will. And then the after thing, I think there was quite a few questions with regards to after this trauma course that I've done, what can I do with this and how can I? So the first one was, will I be qualified to work with trauma clients after completing this course? This is a bit of a longer answer to just quickly answer, and it also links to another course that's another question that says, apart from Humanitas accreditation, does this course offer any other accreditation? Okay, for example, can it be regarded as the intro course for SE? We already spoke about that, the intro course. Remember that Humanitas, those of you who don't know, Humanitas is not registered with higher education. So we are not a tertiary qualification provider. So you don't come to us and leave us with a qualification. You leave us with the practical skills and you leave us with the information and the guidance that we gave you. You receive a certificate of attendance and completion. Okay, as with all our other courses, PBI, our play-based intervention specialization, exactly the same. Our school counselors one, exactly the same. We do not offer a qualification. Will you be equipped to work with this? Most definitely. Okay, most definitely. You are in very good hands with regards to that. But this is not a qualification. Do you want to add something?
Well, maybe Barbara, on this point, I know talking about the accreditation and so on, but from a CPD point perspective, can you maybe just say what we've done there?
We have applied for CPD points for each step. So we're just waiting for feedback there from the Social Work Council. I know already that the Community Resiliency Model got 23 CPD points. I expect at least 16 on polyvagal, which is what we got last year. The trauma one is in at the moment as well. That because you know it comes to 27 hours. So they will accredit that. And as we go through, we're applying for each one. I'm sure you are too, Peter.
Yeah.
And Karen. So
Yeah.
there will be CPDs for each module, Louise as well.
I think on the website, we've listed the minimum number of CPDs that we already have gotten approval for, and it's quite a few. In total, 39 points minimum so far, and we're still waiting for Module 2 and Module 4 to 11 to be approved. So, I mean, that tells you how many CPD points this course is going to be approved for. So it's tremendous. It's tremendous. Okay. What qualification will I have? We spoke about that. Do you have to register under something or someone in order to qualify to use this course in the future? No. We don't have to register with the Trauma Research Institute or any other body in order to utilize this this training in private practice or in your field, in your work with your clients. You just have to remember that this course is not for the lay counselor. This course is not for somebody who has not completed our 220 hours, or is a social worker, or is a psychologist, somebody who already has the basic foundation, and we upskill in this course. Okay, and then you can go and apply this. So if you are with the ASCHP at this point in time, what title will you have? You will say, I'm a specialist wellness counselor specializing in trauma counseling, or in working with the body. We will definitely work with the ASCHP to find a nice title that you can use, but you will not change titles. You'll be a specialist wellness counselor specializing in the field of trauma, or specialist wellness counselor working with trauma, or however you want to word that then, and however they guide us there, if we get some feedback from them. Okay.
And just in light of it being copyrighted to the Trauma Resource Institute and so forth, you can't teach it.
Yes.
You have to be accredited with them to present the training.
Yeah. Also important to know. Yeah. So this
and
is not training.
It's not just the CRIM and the TRIM. It's polyvagal. It's the process trauma with Dr. Peter. It's the wellness skills. It's the sexual abuse. It's a lot more. It's the ethics, your sexual abuse section, Louise. It's a lot of additional work as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so this is not a training course that you can come and do to go and train others. That you, unfortunately, you won't be able to do that. Okay, I see that we've got about half an hour or so left.
So we've got cost and Bradley's question.
Okay, first course, how much is the course? Let me just quickly check. I'm going to give you the payment terms, because the other question regarding cost was also, are there payment plans available? Okay, so your deposit for this course is 9,999 Rand. That secures your seat. And then there are 10 payments, monthly payments, that are making up the bulk of it then, 10 payments of 3,500 per month, which brings you to a total of 44,999 Rand for this specialization. So that's cost and payment plans. We're always open to payment plans, guys. We're always available to chat. If there's another arrangement that you want to make, we don't have problems with that. So just keep that in mind. And then Bradley's question, how is this course transferable across cultures? I heard how Dr. Barbara was giving examples such as flooding in KZN or fires in Western Cape. A lot of communities in South Africa do not have English as their main language, or culturally, there are certain views on trauma or mental health as a whole. Therefore, I'm interested in how these techniques or this approach is transferable or effective across cultures. Very good question. Dr. Barbara?
I think that one of the strengths of the community resiliency model and the trauma resiliency model is exactly that.
Mm.
It is working with the body. Your nervous system works the same way regardless of culture. And it's a very respectful model of culture. Even the language can be modified to accommodate the way that cultures express things, because it's a lot of body work, movement. There are many things you can use. And the aim very frequently is to train your natural community leaders. So it's been applicable in 70 countries across cultures.
Mm.
So I think it's culturally very sensitive, a lot more so than other trauma models that I've seen.
Yeah.
Elaine really has made an impact in a wide range of cultures.
Yeah.
And because she's willing to work with the natural leaders, it has it's accepted very well.
Perfect. Okay.
It's a good question.
Yeah, very good question. Thanks, Bradley. Okay, from my team side, all the wonderful people who've worked so hard on this course, any other information that you would like to share, or any other comments that you would like to make, something that we might have left out? Everybody happy?
Louise,
good.
what have you noticed about getting the stabilization, particularly when you're looking for testimony or a verbal disclosure?
Specifically working with sexual abuse.
Well, any kind of trauma.
Okay. I've just, in the work that I've been doing with children and working a lot with sexual abuse forensic work. So I do a lot of forensic work, forensic investigations into allegations of abuse. And what Barbara has said about the importance of creating safety in the body for us to get the narrative, and especially even in working with allegations of sexual abuse in forensic investigations, the importance of getting a child or the client, not just children, but for me, especially children, to get that safety in the body and the safety in the here and now. Otherwise, they are not able to give us a disclosure. And a lot of our work that we have shifted in practice, at our group practice that we have, is to say that all our therapy, not just our trauma work, everything that we do, bereavement counseling, divorce counseling, all of it, we've made a shift to say we start with body work. And we start with skills in emotional regulation and safety in the body before we attempt to do the other work for which the client is there. Yeah, and a lot of that I have to give Barbara credit for as well.
I just want to add to that. I think this is also an important point, Louise, because it's not a trauma course and therefore you're going to learn how to work with trauma necessarily. This is skills that you can utilize, information and knowledge that you're going to gain in order to work with clients over a broad spectrum of any, although this is a trauma focused, if the body's not safe and if the person doesn't feel safe and if it's not, if regulation is not a part of it, like Louise said, the rest falls flat.
And we do a lot of work, and I think so much of what you would be learning in this course is, as Andrea said, we do a lot of work with schools and teachers, and so much of what Barbara is teaching and what you will learn in this course, you could actually apply in a school setting and equipping teachers with knowledge and skill in terms of working with children in the class. Just we always say it begins with regulating the teacher first as well. But working with helping teachers how to regulate, and then also equipping them with those skills in terms of the learners in their class. And we might have one learner in mind who comes from a history of trauma or has just gone through something. But if we can get teachers to regulate the whole class, everyone benefits.
Yeah.
And so it's really so transferable in so many contexts. Yeah,
And parents as well, Louise.
definitely.
If the parent is regulated, they're better able to regulate the child.
Yeah, and if I think of in the context of attachment work, our whole training on attachment and our attachment work with parents, our whole shift has changed from saying where we used to start working with the parent and the child on techniques of facilitating that attachment. Our main work now is equipping parents with skills in regulating their kids. And if we get that right, that kind of leads to a sense of safety in the relationship, and that starts fostering secure attachment.
Yeah.
And then secure attachment facilitates safety.
Yes.
And regulation, because so much of what we do depends on the face-to-face interaction with people, because that's your ventral vagus.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what increases the tone in the ventral vagus, which is your zone of well-being. So, yeah. But I remember it being an eye-opener when we worked together, Louise.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh.
Anybody else wants to add something? Or happiness? Let's just check some more questions.
Yeah, so let's maybe just put on the top.
Is it advisable to be doing... I'm not sure. Is it advisable to be doing dual courses? For example, if I want to do PBI and the trauma course simultaneously, is that possible? I think it's possible. I don't think I don't know if it's a good idea to do it simultaneously. It depends on what other stuff you've got going on as well. I think it depends on how much is on your plate. Dr. Louise and Karen and Anshul, they are all a part of the PBI course. So you would have a better idea of answering this. Anshul, maybe I can ask you if you're still here, if you haven't been pulled away by two little ones.
I am still here.
Okay, perfect. What do you think, Anshul?
I think it depends where you are during the course and what other commitments you also might have. I think if you focus only on the two courses, it can be doable, but I won't necessarily recommend. I think it's a lot, and I think there might be overlaps.
Overlaps in time commitments.
Time commitment. PBI is quite extensive, even though we spread it out so that you can still work and do PBI part-time, but I think that you will have a lot on your plate if you do both. Not impossible, but I think it will be quite tough.
Yeah. We've also scheduled it in such a way, one of the questions was the date that is planned and the proposed date. We are starting the first intake, we're planning the first intake for October, and the first PBI intake is in February somewhere. So you're going to have like a 3-month head start, but I still think that the overlap is maybe going to be too big to tackle both together. But we've got, we've been running PBI for many years. It's not going anywhere. So you are more than welcome. Sorry, I just got distracted by the lobby. You're more than welcome to first do the one, and then if you're still interested, maybe do the next one. PBI is not going anywhere, and this trauma course is not going anywhere either. We have multiple intakes, 2 intakes for PBI, and we're planning 2 intakes at least per year for the trauma course as well. Okay, so that's to answer that one. How much is the course? We've answered that. Marizan, I know there was a poll for Cape Town versus Pretoria. Any chance that Cape Town might get considered? I know, I know that you're very keen. This is something that we have to discuss. There was a similar thing with regards to comments made about Durban on the graduates group. Guys, it really is to present a course in a different place than Pretoria, because the majority of our lecturers are here, is an extremely expensive thing for us to do. It takes a lot of financial investment to get it there. If the group is big enough, if it's financially viable for us, 100%. If our lecturers are willing to travel, 100%. But we've got to have a group that's big enough. And at this point in time, a full class for trauma would be 21 students, because you're going to work in pairs of 3. So Barbara is going to explain that when you actually enroll and when you come and join us, there'll be more information on that. But if the group is big enough and if there's enough interest, we can definitely look into other regions as well. At this point in time, we're going to start in October. We're going to kick it off, and hopefully, if we've got a nice big group for October. And if people then commit through the entire course and finish it, we are confident that word of mouth will start spreading this information, and that it might generate more interest in other areas as well. So we're hoping and praying for that. Do you want to add?
Yeah, so just to manage expectations, I think realistically there's a really slim chance that this would go to other regions in 2026.
Yeah.
So at this point, as you can hear, there's a lot of emphasis on quality, making sure that everybody's comfortable with the process, and if there's any support needed, that we do have the resources to assist where necessary. We want to take this really slowly and make sure that we've got the best possible course. We already have, all the foundation is there. I'm talking about the teething issues and so on. So I think it's going to take a while before we'll be able to get this course to different regions.
Yeah, don't plan for it too quickly. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, sorry Marizon, jy moet maar in Pretoria kom kuier. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so just in terms of the next question, the intended dates and the time commitment, all of this information is available on the website, but just for reference, I decided just to copy and paste the schedule for you in the chat. So you'll see that the starting date is then 27th of October. That's the first week that's in person. It's 5 days in person. I think Henry might also have a schedule here with us, but so it's 5 days in person. Then there's a bit of a break. Module 2 starts. This information is not that easy to read. It's on the 24th of November, right?
That's module 3 there.
So there's a self-paced module. So the first one is 5 days in person, then there's an online self-paced video that needs to be watched, and then 10 days in person. That's starting on the 24th of November. But all of that information has been made available, and you're welcome to go and have a look there.
If you go and have a look on the website, it's very nicely explained and detailed there. So Leon will just put the website information, if he hasn't already, in the chat for you as well. So you're welcome to have a look at that. Very nicely put out there. I wish it was fully online. I'm in Mpumalanga. We wish we could have done it online, but the problem with online is that physical in-person training and learning is going to be lacking. So unfortunately, we won't be able to present this online.
So and maybe just on that point. So we really try to make as much available online. There's that week in person, then 2 weeks in person, and then and Barbara and others, please assist me here. But there's one other module that's in person, right? So I think
the one on shame
and guilt. Yes,
shame and guilt.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the rest is all online. So Constance, apologies for that. We tried, but as Henri also mentioned, there's certain things that we can't do online, and it has to be done in person.
Yeah.
Well, it's more effective in person for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Lavina, yes, the venue, that's correct. That 100%. Is where the training will be run.
Is it too early to tell the times of these sessions, in-person modules? No, it's 9 o'clock until about 2 o'clock. I think we scheduled it from 9 till 2. So you can definitely plan your days according to that. Thank you. Yes, there's the link to the post has also, or the page has also been shared. So all the information is available there. Okay, guys, any other questions that might have popped up for you as a result of our conversations? Anything else that you would like to ask? You're welcome to put that in the chat. Don't see anyone typing, so I think that's that. Okay, if there is anything, if anything pops up for you during the course of tonight as you're processing the session, you're more than welcome to email us. You've got the foundational information, I'm sure. You've got the bulk of it, so you're welcome to send us an email to info@humanitas.co.za. Send your question there, and we will definitely get back to you via email. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to ask Dr. Peter, Dr. Barbara. I'm going to ask the people who are involved with the development of it, and I'll definitely get that information through to you. From my side, guys, and to the presenters and the lecturers as well, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for allowing us this opportunity to share with you. I'm super excited about this course. This has been a long time in the making. Dr. Barbara, I think about a year and a half almost of writing and developing and getting everybody together and getting all the modules together. This is really an extensive course, and it's something that at this point in time, even though it hasn't run yet, I'm super proud of. So I am extremely excited to meet each and every one of you in person for that first module. Any other questions, you're welcome to email us. Where we can help, we definitely will. And we wish you well. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here and sticking it out with us, and have a fantastic evening.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
everyone.
being here. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dr. Barbara.
Good to
Have a
see
good
you
night.
all. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.